You're listening to the E.I.T.H.R podcast with your host, D.Cal.
Hey everybody, what's up? This is Sabrina Jade, and you're listening to the E.I.T.H.R podcast with D.Cal.
And happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen. This is D.Cal, host of the E.I.T.H.R podcast here from Northern California, the GNSHQ. Shout out to everybody here in North America, South America, across the pond, in Australia, New Zealand. Give a shout out to those in Italy. I'm going to give a shout out to those in India. Keep it local here in California, the Bay Area, Texas, Georgia. What up, y'all? Appreciate the listening. Florida, Kansas City, whether it's Kansas City or St. Joseph, New York, the Bronx. What up? Washington, D.C. Let's see here. Los Angeles. Much love to you guys. And Merced. Just give some shout out to people listening to the podcast. You guys can follow us on the social media of Instagram or Twitter. Either way, the handle is the same. E.I.T.H.R. You can also check us out for the parent company on TikTok. Just search for the GNS Inc. THEGNS INC. You can also go to Spreaker.com or you can download the Spreaker app, SPREAKER. Create yourself a profile, look for the E.I.T.H.R podcast. You can chat along with me while I'm doing the live podcast. Try to do these typically Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays around 3:30 Pacific Standard Time, which is 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. And what we do in the E.I.T.H.R podcast, man, is the elephant in the room where we talk about certain topics and issues that sometimes people can't really have conversations with their peers because people are short-sighted or one-sided. Let me tell you something. I'm no different. I get into conversations with folks and I try to be as non-biased as possible, even though I have my stance on certain things. I believe one way or I may believe the other. But I try to look at it from a non-biased angle. So even if I continue to disagree with whatever is going on, at least I want to be able to be more informed with what it is that I disagree with. And some people, man, they don't want to hear anything that doesn't agree with what they got going on. So this is a safe place for everybody to go ahead and do that. At least listen to something that you may not be aware of that could at least, give you something else to chew on while you believe in whatever it is that you believe in. So that's what the E.I.T.H.R podcast is all about. We like to do everything here on an optimistic perspective. When we start it off, we like to give a shout out to people. We also do what's called inspirational, motivational. So a shout out that I want to give is to everybody in Northern California, Central as well as Southern California, who's putting up with this bipolar ass rain. Listen, the Bay Area is not really too keen on snow. Now you might get some ice, snow in the the Altamont Pass over there by Livermore, between Livermore and San Joaquin. That's common. But it's not very common to get snow in Berkeley. It's not common to get snow in Oakland. I know they call it grout or whatever it is. But that's what it is. So just want to give a shout out to those people who's putting up with all that nonsense We also want to go ahead and give inspirational and motivational. And what that is this. Get out of your own fucking head. Whatever it is that you got going on, let it go. You are the reason why you haven't accomplished whatever it is that you're shooting for. I just had to pause the music real quick so you can make sure you hear what I'm saying. Whatever it is that's stopping you from achieving what it is, look at that person in the mirror and tell that person to get the fuck out of your way so you can achieve what goal it is that you have set for yourself. So we got a couple of things we're going to discuss here. There's a restaurant that I saw that a friend of mine sent me, and they do some creative shit. And in today's world of toxicity, insecurity, and control, I want to know if you guys feel that this is a restaurant that you think you will be able to eat at. It's just Decal with the Eat the Podcast. We're going to get right into it as soon as we come right back.
This is Michaela Rivera from Cottage Grove, Oregon, and you're listening to the E.I.T.H.R podcast with my friend Decal.
So, first things first. What we're going to talk about right now, before we get to that restaurant idea we talked about a couple seconds ago, I want to bring this up for everybody who has that one idea. That idea that you've been waiting on. That idea that you're trying to get off the ground. And there's a couple of friends that I got who have these business ideas. And they have these things that's in their head and they put it on paper. But they're waiting for the right time, the right moment for everything around it to go perfect. Guess what? That's not how it works, y'all. That's not how this thing works. Listen, there is no perfect time. There is no, let me get this shit lined up so I can go ahead and do this here. That's not how it works. I understand people say, write a plan, stick to your plan. Listen, life has its own plan about what life wants to do. Life has its own plan what life's going to do. Sometimes it just takes action. And you kind of figure things out as you go along. So you can't sit back and think, oh, when this happens, listen, I'm no different than anybody else. I myself have done it before. So it's just one of those things where you have to make sure that you take into consideration the best time to start something is right now. Oh, shout out to my people Fuzz. She just downloaded the Spreaker app and she's on board. So one thing that she wants to bring up is, and this is very, very important also, be careful who you trust with your business ideas. Yo, her and I had this conversation not too long ago, and this is very crucial too. And when it comes to the perfect time is now, also beware who you give your ideas to, because sometimes your best friend is also your best competition. There's a lot of people out there, man, who don't want to see you strive. They don't want to see you make it. They don't want to see you excel, right? They want to see, put it to you this way. There are people who want to see you succeed. They just don't want to see you succeed better than them. They don't want to see you surpass them. They want to see you do well, just not better than them. So when you have your plans and ideas and goals, you got to be cautious and careful for who you share those with, because you could be giving your secret sauce to the competitor. So you want to kind of play close to the vest. And I've always said this because I've learned this in 2010. Sometimes the best people to do business with is people you don't like. Sometimes the best people to do business with are people you don't necessarily get 100% along with. Here's why. They like to do the things that you don't. You like to do the things that they don't. If you guys are friendly enough, if you're not on that same best friend forever wavelength, that's perfect. Because neither one of you is going to allow the other person to fuck up your money. You see what I'm saying? When you go into business with a bestie, if you don't feel like doing something, they don't feel like doing something, that shit's not going to get done. However, if you go into business with someone that you're friendly with, but you really don't know that well, but you understand that he or she is about their shit, neither one of you are going to want to cross that path to where it messes their money up for the business. Because this is a sole income. This is a professional perspective. This is not a personal perspective. So going right back to it, the best time to do it is the moment you realize it's a great idea. Trust me, the path that I have taken may not be the path the next person is going to take. But a lot of people wait for this perfect time because they think it's all going to align itself perfectly, and you don't understand how the song Go by Outkast. You can plant a pretty picnic, but you can't predict the weather. And a lot of folks don't understand that until you get into it. And then once you get into it, then it's one of those things where you literally feel as if, damn, why didn't I do this shit sooner? And that's one of those things where the best time to do it is the moment you realize this is what I want to do. Okay? Another thing I want to get into real quick when it comes to people doing it, because it goes hand in hand, is people don't like to collaborate. And for me, I've said this in plenty of episodes before, y'all, collaboration is one of the greatest things you can do when it comes to business. Now, a lot of people have this belief that when you collaborate, you have to be partners within that business. And you don't necessarily have to, right? You don't necessarily need to partner up to do the same business. You just want to collaborate with someone that understand how business works. Hell, I've said this before. Super hip hop music producer Dr. Dre says himself in an interview with Rockefeller's LL Cool J, he's never collaborated not one time in his music career. He's always collaborated. Dre normally, again, I've never been there, so I don't know personally, just going off what I've heard. Every time that man is in the studio doing something, there's people in the studio with him, whether they're giving him input on what they like, what they don't like, whether they're giving feedback on, yo, that sounds dope, or he's reading the room on how people react to what he produces. There's a constant feedback. There was times where Snoop says, or it might have been Eminem, where Dre would do a track and he'll have you listen to it in the studio. Okay.
State ascoltando il podcast E.I.T.H.R con E.I.T.H.R.
And then he'll have you listen to it in the car. Then he'll have you listen to it at home. Then he'll have you listen to it in all these different areas and different acoustics and different layouts. And the reason being is because he wants to get a vibe for the different element, the different surrounding, the different atmosphere. Because it might sound different in your car than it does at home. It might sound different in your home than it does at the club. It might sound different in the club than it does on the bus. All those different places give it different. And you want that feedback. So to collaborate with somebody kind of gives you an idea from an angle that you don't necessarily see. I have a friend in Missouri, and she wants to create her own food truck. Okay. Now, she's waiting for things to align, which I completely respect. But kind of like what I said earlier too, man. There is no perfect time, and a lot of people are hesitant and they let the season pass them by because they're waiting for that perfect time. So a collaboration is me saying to her, hey, have you ever thought about creating a channel into your food ideas, to kind of do like a warm introduction to the world about this is what I'm doing. Hey, this is me. This is what I got going on. My goal is working towards getting a food truck. Being that I don't have the fund for the truck, I'm going to make this shit from my home. So at least the world knows who you are. They know what you're about. They know what you're trying to do. And this is what you're getting started. You know, and she kind of made jokingly the comment, the quality of work isn't going to be what she wanted to be. It's not going to be professional. You know, it's going to be like low quality, low budget video. And I said to her, who gives a shit? The fact of the matter is, everything starts off in beta. Everything has a beginning, right? Remember, Amazon started off in a garage. Facebook started off in a college dorm room on a window with an algorithm. MySpace started off also in a garage. Apple started off in a garage. Nothing ever started off with this beautiful eclectic of just all these ducks lining up. So it's kind of one of those things where the perfect time should be now, because no one has an expectation for you. So you have time to screw up and figure it out as you go along. Going back to the collaboration, your network is your net worth. Remember, if you have people who have the same common future, that's where you're heading. But if you continue to be with people who have a common past, that's where you'll stay. And some of the greatest people who ever been in business did not have the ideal situation. And so I was in the fragrance business. I've said this before on previous episodes. And listen, man, we've had people who lived out of their cars. We had people who live with abusive relatives. We had people who couch surfed, you know, and a lot of these people, they didn't have business background. Hell, most of them were junior high school dropouts, ex-drug dealers, some ex-prostitutes, some strippers. I mean, we had a room full of people with a very unique background. But we all had a common future. We all wanted to have the same goal. So some of us were super business and straightforward and clean cut. Some of us were grimy as fuck with dope on it. Some of us had just the squarest lifestyle you could ever imagine. And some people were just completely lost. But what we did was iron sharpened iron. We all knew we had a goal we wanted to get to, and the goal was to make sure that each one of us did not sway off that path. And I said this in my last episode, how I would set up conversation and walk away with the other person, which made that person very uncomfortable, but it was a realization, it's time to go ahead and get this in gear. So the collaboration is always work with someone who's giving you feedback. Also, a collaboration is having an accountability partner, someone who's going to keep you in line. I feel that's what a lot of people don't have, nor do they have the discipline. But if you collaborate, it's almost as if you're putting your own self out there to do it. And the reason why I'm bringing this up in the topic is because there's a lot of people that I've seen who have these beautiful ideas of wanting to do something, but they're allowing the world that they live in to determine the world that they're trying to get to. And I'm telling you from experience, man, if you have someone who has been down the path of struggle and the path of trial and error, you have something that person didn't have. That person has been through a wall. That person broke through the wall. And a lot of people, I feel, don't collaborate is because they look at the person that is doing something and they use that person's struggle, they use that person's shortcomings, They use that person's results, and they say, that's the results that I'm going to get. Those are the results that I'm going to yield. That's the outcome I'm going to have. What you don't understand is that person has experience. And you can take that experience that they have and learn from it. Because even what didn't work for them, that actually might work for you. It's just they didn't have what you may have. That could be brand spanking new. That could be the fact that you are new, the fact that you have these ideas. Maybe you can reignite their fire. Maybe the fact that you're hesitant, they need to go ahead and ignite your fire. Maybe you just need someone to give you encouraging feedback about some ideas that you have, right? Like I said, my friend in Missouri, I don't think she has anyone with a business savvy mindset to tell her that's a great idea, or to come up with different methods of how to approach certain ideas that she has. Because I know for myself, the people that was in my circle, none of them was an entrepreneurial spirit to the fact that they wanted to try it. Now, they'll give you the opinion all day of whether it will or won't work, but none of them had the track record to say, here's why it won't work, right? They wanted to emulate the success, but they never wanted to emulate the work ethic, right? Somebody can tell you the diet you need to take, but they don't eat that food. So how do they know? You see what I'm saying? Yes, and there's a difference between watching someone else's successes and failures and learning from them. But there's also a difference between feeling it. Because like I said, what worked for me may not work for you, but why did it work for me? Why didn't it work for you? That's where the importance of collaboration comes from. And when you have someone who has that type of mindset, ladies and gentlemen, it's very hard to argue with someone who's yielding a result. Two, I think also is an expectation. People have this, they have an expectation that they're not going to make it. And that is a self-sabotaging mindset. I don't care what it is. Going to the gym, cleaning your room, work projects, starting your own business, something with the family, whatever it may possibly be. Hang around like-minded people. And I think that's a very, very important factor many people don't do. And that's the reason why 5 years, 10 years, 15 years go by, and you sit back and say, damn, I wish I had that idea, right? Because I'm not even going to get into the situation about ideas that I've had in the past. And I listened to the people that was in my circle and come to find out that these companies that I had thought about doing before actually happened. So again, from experience, you have to look at common past, common future. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to stay? You have to make the decision. But the perfect time to start is right the fuck now. And the perfect people to be around are those who are like-minded. I don't care if the business is something you don't necessarily have an investment in. The fact of the matter is, bosses are talking to bosses. You are the CEO of your company, they're the CEO of their company. This is kind of where you have your own roundtable of bosses. And then you do boss talk. And you bounce ideas off one another. And like I said, if you have weight, they have weight, you guys can cross-promote each other's businesses. What do you guys think? What's your opinion about that? What do you think about collaborating? Is there somebody you want to collaborate with? Is there somebody that you would love to pick the brain and partner up with on something, maybe a venture outside and at a park or something for the community? What say you guys? What's your opinion? Hit us at the E.I.T.R, Instagram, and Twitter. Now, let's go ahead and get into this topic about this restaurant. So this video. Shout out to Fuzz, because she's the one who sent it to me. When it comes to relationships, trust is very important, right? Trust and security, because they kind of go hand in hand. You trust somebody, but for the most part, there's a lot of security that goes involved with that. But you also have to know your partner. There's a restaurant I just saw a video of in Southern America, South America. Think of it as like an ice cream sundae hot dog on a stick-esque. And I know that's a wild ass description, but I want you to imagine going to this restaurant and they have like these hot dog or these ice cream banana split things dipped in chocolate, and they feed it to your girl. What you're imagining is exactly what I'm talking about. This shit was wild. I want you to imagine this banana type of, I'm guessing it's a banana, and it's dipped in chocolate, and at the base of it, imagine cherries. And they feed it to your woman, and her whole thing is to suck the chocolate off the banana. Then I want you to imagine, and this is in the video, right? Where the woman is sitting on a stool, and one of the people who are working there gets between her legs and kind of dry humps her, just like you would in junior high school dance when you thought you were the shit. Or like you would in a nightclub when one of those songs come on. And it showed this one woman, she was bent over the stool, and the guy was doing what men do from behind to women, who usually bend over with their hand on the wall and they're looking back over her shoulder. And the camera pans over to her boyfriend. I'm guessing it's her boyfriend. I mean, you know, cool. And he's laughing, and his face is buried in his arm, and he looks up and he tells the cameraman, put the camera back on her, put the camera back on her. What would you do in a situation? First of all, fellas, are you cool with that? You go someplace and it's chocolate dipped bananas and they're making your girl suck the chocolate off the banana, and they're giving her basically these lap dances while they're inside making the food or whatever the case may possibly be. Are you good with that? Ladies, are you good with that? So in the comment section, you know, they're talking about how, you know, you have strip clubs for men and topless bars for men and all the other fun stuff. And there's some people are saying, you know, hey, if you're a girlfriend or wife, that should be off limits. If you're single, have at it, because you know, you can do what you want when you're single. What do you guys think? Yes, they do have strip clubs. Yes, they do have jail clubs. Is this something that you can do to wear for dessert, for a treat? Ladies, if you do something like that and you're in a relationship, would you tell your significant other that's what you're doing? Would you tell your significant other that's where you're going? Again, this is like in South America, so I don't really think anyone here in the States have to worry about it as far as I know. But is that something that you would do if you're in a relationship? Do you feel if you're in a relationship, it's not that big of a deal because it's not cheating? Do you think an established like that would work in America, North America? Right? Is it, I guess my question is this. Being that we have these double standards, is it something that is okay and we can kind of loosen the standard per se on what men can do versus what women can do? Or should we say, this is cool, but that's not cool? Personally, for me, I think it all depends on your relationship. This is my opinion. I mean, if I'm dating somebody and me and her are completely 100% confident and comfortable with one another, I have to say to myself, she trusts me to go over here, so I can trust her to go over there, right? Is this something that you feel is completely off limit? Do you think that is it something that people who are single should do? Interesting, right? So the video, again, it kind of makes me think, if you're single, it's no big deal. If you have nobody else to worry about, you're good to go. But then again, I started thinking, but if you're trying to have a little fun, because in Vegas they have restaurants where you can go and get cussed out and get rude treatment and rude language and be disrespected and all kind of fun stuff. At least they did. I don't know if it still exists. I've been to Vegas for a while, but is it good, clean fun? Do you think something like that would do well in America? I think it would in select cities. But then again, you also have a whole, in today's cancel culture, boy, in today's cancel culture, is that a setup for somebody to get in trouble? Is it one of those things where, fuck, you were literally setting yourself up to get sued? What do you guys think, man? Interesting question, right? Listen, I want to take the time to thank you guys for listening to the podcast. Appreciate that. Make sure you tune in next time to the E.I.T.H.R podcast. Like I said, you can go to Spreaker, download the app. You could go to our social media page on Instagram, on Twitter, the E.I.T.H.R. You can follow us on TikTok for the parent company, the GNS Inc. Appreciate that. It's your boy D.Cal. You guys stay safe out there. Be well. Take care of each other. And we will holler back at you next time. Stay blessed. We out.
This is Michaela Rivera from Cottage Grove, Oregon, and you're listening to the E.I.T.H.R podcast with my friend D.Cal.